Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. Happy Saturday morning. This is FPL Jedi Show Blank Gameweek 29 Deadline stream. My name is Hafiz and would like to welcome my co-host Azmin to the stream. How excited you are this week, man?
I'm actually really excited. It's a very unusual week, of course, with only 4 games. But this is game week 29, and with this we kick off into the last 10 games of the season. So yeah, so obviously it's up to every one of us to make a finish. Now I know my season has not panned out as well as I would have liked, but I'm determined to push on and make sure have a good finish. And obviously we also have to remember that this is where all the chips start flying in, and this could really make or break your season depending on how you do your chips.
All right, good stuff, man. First of all, would like to take this opportunity. I think this is our fourth day fasting, if I'm right. Ramadan Karim to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. But fifth, okay. And FPL Jedi show continue to. I think it has been a while, man, since we actually podding for this deadline stream. This week we unable to make it on the midstream. We busy in terms of our commitment and work thinking, and but we try to make it for this deadline stream. We inshallah we try to do this, we managed to get it, and this will be our last stream before the international break, me. All right.
Yeah, yeah. International
All right.
break.
I think before we go the team news, like you mentioned, this is the FA Cup week, the quarter final fixture where the likes of Manchester United versus Liverpool, Wolves versus Coventry, Chelsea versus Leicester City versus Newcastle will take place this weekend. With that, we will have a lot of fixture postponed or being played to the different week in future, and there will be only 4 fixture this week. But before we go to those fixture, man,
Yep.
let's quickly take a look how we perform in game week 28 or
28.
double game week 28 so-called, where Bournemouth and Luton played twice and the average points was 44 points. So I think both of us managed to get a green arrow, right, man? And
Yep, yep.
like yourself, you actually did a triple captain chip on Solanke. You managed to got that 64 points, which is good in terms of, well, if you want to compare between in terms of captaincy, comparing with Harley in game B25, I'm supposed 10 versus 8, right? So it's not
Yep.
that much different. What do you think, man?
Yep, yep. So at the end of the day, I think the only reason I'm on the good arrows thanks to my triple captaincy. But the triple captaincy did not pan out the way I would have liked, thanks to Solanke missing a bloody penalty in the first fixture. And in the end, those who had triple captain Haaland in the few weeks back, they actually got got the right move ahead of Solanke, because I think Haaland scored 30 as opposed to Solanke who scored 24. So basically, the main difference that proved to hurt me was the fact that I didn't have Palmer and Son. So those, because although I had the likes of Barkley, who did do well, but the Palmer and Son was more than enough to for those. So the triumph for the single gamers, really. Yeah, for those who had those.
All right, man. Yes, you did mention about Son and Palmer, who are actually the star for this game with 28 for sure. But for my team, man, I brought in Zabani for Ake. He actually only got 1 point, but Alhamdulillah, whoever thought Zabani scored that one goal, as he has not been scoring any goal for sure.
Yep.
He only got that clean sheet, and I think the right week that I think a lot of media bring in Zabani. If not, Senesi should be in our frame, but he's injured, so Zabani came in. He got that six or 7 points, and then got that 8 points in total for that 2 weeks. So that's pretty much good. Other than that, Doty at least produced an assist from one of those games, 5 points. Barkley, you got 9 points. I think whoever brought him in, at least if you're not free hitting this week. Buckley will play again this week, which is crucial in terms of that match later we touch. Other than that, yeah. So the rest pretty much Joaquin blank, then blank. Foden we have blank. The Arsenal accept blank unless you got uh, who scored that goal? Trossard, is it? Sorry. For the Arsenal game 2-1 against Brentford. But the normal suspect blank.
Havertz.
Harvard, sorry, Harvard. And then,
Yeah.
but at least on your side, Min, finally at least the Brighton asset perform. Brighton only won 1 year, right? And but at least
Yep.
Esteban got the clean sheet and gross that at 8 points.
Yeah, it's funny how when because here I was cheering on for that, praying for that clean sheet, but at the same time we can tell the all the Brighton fans were all hoping, please keep
Yeah.
a clean sheet, because they have been in bad form. They lost the last three matches in a row in all competitions, so it was important. And now because they also and we know now that Brighton are also out of Europa, which was not surprising. They did score 1-0 against Roma, but on aggregate they're out for one. But it was kind of expected that this would happen. Yeah, so the good thing is that with Brighton now out of the other competitions, we maybe will see a more consistent team selection by Deserby moving forward. So that that remains to be seen, but we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, 1-0, I'll take Cat. Or I would have liked some more contributions, but yeah, Estupinian starting was already like, hey, he's starting. It was quite a happy surprise for me. And yeah, so good to see Brighton win.
All right. Just quickly also take a look moving forward for this 2029 from this team sheet meet. I only have like 6 players bearing Richardson whether he's gonna fit or not. And for yourself, I think you got the likes of Doty, Buckley,
I've got
Bowen, Tony
yeah,
Watkins, and it
yep,
will be on the bench. Pau and Alex Morena, who you most likely you are much
yep.
better having players for this week, right, man?
Yeah, I have eight, which includes Watkins though. Yeah, so assuming Watkins, we know that he there was an injury scare, but assuming he's fit, then we got 9 and 10. So later on we'll check on in terms of injury news, but I can see myself just taking one hit and fielding 10 players, which I feel it's okay, and save my free hit for another day.
So interesting because we both might path away in terms of strategy, and we shall see how the people are going to react for this week, whether you're free hitting or you just do your own transfer. All right, man. This week is the fixture for game week 29. Sweet and simple, only 4 matches, so easy for us to cover in terms of team news, right? Where
Yep.
Burnley versus Brentford will play on
Hmm.
Saturday night, 11 p.m. Malaysian time, and also Luton and Forest at the same time. I think Luton and Forest is an interesting match, man, because they are fighting for relegation. Forest on 24 points at 17th place, and at 18th place is Luton Town with 21 points. This is an important match, especially from Luton perspective. If they manage to get the win, they will at least on par in terms of point by the end
Yep.
of game week 29. So that is pretty much an interesting and will be a good match to watch. Then on Saturday midnight, we have London Derby, Fulham versus Spurs. Both, can I say, um, pretty much decent. Although Fulham might not, but they are decent in terms of at their own home at Craven Cottage, especially. And then on Sunday, only one match, the European contenders, so called, because West Ham did manage to get through to the quarterfinals of Europa League. At the same time, Villa advanced to the quarterfinals of Conference League. So both, at least from that match, they are on high moral and they are looking forward for this game for sure, man.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, with West Ham and Aston Villa still in Europe, and the fact that both are this is basically the highest rated match for the week, because Aston Villa are fifth and fourth. Western Villa are seventh. So these are among the top 10 contenders. Although you wouldn't think it thinking of West Ham, they can be quite erratic and suddenly conceding loads, but somehow they are at number 7th. Um, Burnley versus Brentford is still an interesting one though, because Brentford have only picked up 1 point in the past 4 game weeks, since game week before after game week 24. So they
I
kind
mean,
of
last week
precarious.
they face West Ham and got that to draw, if not a win, right?
Yeah, so they need something. Yeah, they need to bounce back, because Burnley are gonna look at that match and thinking, if we can win against Brentford at home, then it does give us a fighting chance, because Burnley and Sheffield United by default are running out of matches to get points. Okay, because both of them are on 14 matches, unlike 14 points, unlike Luton, who's on 21. So they're a bit further nearer to the rest of the screen. But Brentford are on 26. So if Burnley managed to scrape a win, they could, you know, pull Brentford closer to the relegation zone. So that's where Brentford are on the Brentford side. They are looking at it as a must win. And, now it's a game for survival.
Right.
Fulham, just now you mentioned Fulham. Yeah, so Fulham, you know, on their form they can be great, and Muniz, who has been starting ever since Jimenez got injured, has done wonders. I, I think he's scored like 6 consecutive matches since. I'll check that, but yeah, I mean it's great that they managed to get a replacement of Jimenez and someone who's scoring consistently. So yeah, it'll be interesting. When you look at what's at stake for all these teams, there's so much at stake. You know, Spurs, Villa, West Ham all fighting for Europe. The rest all fighting for survival. Even Fulham, who are just fighting to they're almost there. So they'll want to fight to ensure they get to that 40-point safety gap. So everything to play for all the teams.
All right, man. I think we cover all those matches. Let's jump it on team news because definitely people are thinking which player that we should bring in and what the manager has been saying. Let's go to the
Mm.
first match, man. Burnley versus Brentford. What have been Company and also Thomas Frank been saying about their team?
Right, so Burnley, nothing injured, but now what Vincent Company has been doing these days is he's keeping to that style of hinting and not revealing anything, and it's a siege mentality that is adopted. And to be fair, I don't blame him, because they need to survive, so why give up hints if they can't, if they don't need to. Yeah, so yeah, so nothing serious in terms of Burnley, and nothing obvious either. No one, Jordan Bayer, who's still not going to be fit. That's the only real concern for us FPL players. So um with Brentford, this was a case of Regulon, because I know that some people did bring him into the teams, and there was an injury doubt, and he missed out last week. But looks like he is going to be good. But the biggest news for Brentford, although maybe not for this week, but after the international break, is that Umbuemo might be involved. So even if he gets in this week as on the bench, it will be a boost for Brentford, because then they will have both Umbuemo and Tony back and firing, and they just need to a few more for survival and then finish off strongly. So Brentford, I would say advantage Brentford at the moment, but don't underestimate Burnley, who are going to fight hands and nails to survive. And if you were to ask me a player to look out for, it'll be Fofana. So if you don't have any dark horse pick and you would like one for this game week 29, you might want to consider Fofana, because he has been doing well for Burnley ever since he came in during the January transfer window. Yeah, so Burnley may not win, but he will be most likely amongst any goals that Burnley do.
Yep, I think interesting, man. You touch about Brentford, especially people are eyeing how the condition of Regulon. Thomas Frank confirmed should be fit and available, and I suppose with this, I mean, news, he should be starting this game, and people are going to bring him in, or people already had him. It will be a more relief that they can actually play him. Other than that, most likely Tony is the one that people bring in terms of Brentford asset. Maybe Visa, another dark horse pick, man. You mentioned about Fofana. Visa could be another one that people, if let's say thinking, in the three front lineup, I suppose. But Bomo news, I think that's it's a big news if I can see him on the bench, and then I can imagine he coming back, he coming on sub in the 70 minute and then get sub return. I can foresee that, right? I mean, although it might be a
Yeah,
tall order whether he can start this game.
yeah, it could burn, if because he has the pace to burn when the burn is tiring. Especially if you're facing the likes who Taylor, another FPL pick by the way. Yeah, but he's not Taylor isn't exactly known for his speed. So if Umbuemo comes in and a sub, it could work wonders. But you mentioned Wisa, who has scored in the last two consecutive matches. Yeah, so it's disappointing a lot of us Tony owners, but hey, what can you do? So yes, you're right. Another potential dark horse pick if he makes it three in a row.
All right, man. Let's go to the next match, of which, yeah, interesting. Luton Town and Forest relegation battle. So what has been the manager saying?
Okay, so only key thing that we note out is that Tahiti Chong, who was a worry, is fit. But for Luton, if you're looking at bringing in Luton players, you probably want to, if you don't have any Luton players right now, and let's say, or let's say you're free hitting, Luton might not be the best picks for this week simply because of fatigue. Yeah, so let's see how we that's potentially a fatigue issue. Although, when you're fighting for survival, anything can happen. So on the Forest side, yeah, we saw uh Awani come in for Wood. So we're not sure how Forest will line up. So it's a bit of a risk there. I would expect if you wanted to go with someone with maybe Hotza Odoi, Gibbs White, but between Woods and Awani, I'm not sure. It's possible that um, they might play two up front. Yeah, if they want to really go for it, especially thinking that Luton might be tired. Forest were a bit hard done by last week, a bit from their match against who did they play? Brighton. Yeah, very very controversial goal. Chaos in the box kind of performance, but unfortunately Forest couldn't score anyway. Yeah, so it's a tough one to call this, but I'm thinking Forest are gonna come up winners.
Right, interesting. Maybe that's also my feeling. We know that Luton has been conceding goals left, center, and right. And Forest still a decent team over the Luton. I feel, but this could be a home advantage to Luton. I don't see anything wrong if you have the likes of Doty or Morris or Buckley. They should be the more popular asset. Maybe you have Kaminsky in goal if you brought him in somewhere 24 last time because they do play double, right? And but Forest will be a underrated team if you're not hitting, especially Hudson Doy, Gibbs White, Elanga could be the pick that you should be more put more closely.
Yep, yep. Because so for Forest is actually I mentioned how they were hard done by against Brighton, but even the week before that they played Liverpool, and another controversial goal where involving a dead ball where Liverpool should arguably Liverpool should have given Forest back the ball and they didn't, and consecutively they
Yeah.
scored. So they're gonna feel the world is out to get them, and it's gonna be a good match. It's one of the matches to watch.
Yep, for sure. All right, man. Let's go to the next match. The London Derby match, man. Fulham versus Spurs. Spurs are on high fly, man, because they won 4-0 against Villa last week. They are firm in terms of trying to fight for that fourth place against Villa because Villa is still on fourth place. A few more points they need to catch up. They have one match in hand, but it's against Chelsea, right? And what's the latest news that Marco Silva and also Postecoglou have been mentioning?
Yeah, so the biggest thing with Fulham is just simply that everyone's available, and which is something that they're looking forward to, considering they'll be up against Spurs, who are on a high after defeating their European contenders rivals. But of course, main problem is Van der Ven. is not going to be there. Yeah, so they need to bring in most likely Dragusin in. Richarlison could be available, so let's see what happens. But picking him now might, if you don't already have him, feels like a bit too risky. If you have him, fine, keep him. But if you don't, then it might be too much of a risk. He will probably come in as a sub, but he could do well as a sub. But yeah, you just have to bear that in mind. Having said that, it's clear that um, since Madison came back, they've slowly really started to look really, really good again. And Johnson has leveled up himself. He's looking much better these days, and his decision making has been better. And yeah, he's a shoe in for the lineup. Yeah, we'll see what happens this week, because after that, will Richarlison replace? Who will Richarlison replace? Yeah, that would be an interesting dilemma. But for this week, I expect Johnson and Kulusevski to still start ahead of Richarlison.
Yep, for sure. I think there'll be a lot of interest of attention on the Spurs asset. I mean, you can see people are tripling up in terms of Spurs asset in this free hit team. If they say they do that, I think. But Fulham, interesting. I think the one that people might overlook, like you mentioned, Muniz. Up front, we have, like we mentioned about Fofana, we mentioned about Wisa, and then we were going to mention about Morris before this, but Muniz could also be one forward option where most likely Tony and Watkins is the more popular asset.
I think it's incredible when you look at the fact that your Spurs weren't exactly good at keeping clean sheets, yet somehow against Villa, they managed to keep one, which is insane. I'm trying to look back as to last time Spurs kept a clean sheet. I can't find one. Since before the clean sheet against Villa. So assuming they're still the same, then I can definitely see Fulham scoring. Yeah, it's just
Yep.
and most likely Muniz is going to be involved. But I guess the question is, for those who aren't free hitting, and you have one transfer, would you want to buy a Fulham player against
Mm.
Spurs, who are the high flying team at the moment? So I don't know. Yeah, that's something.
It's very unlikely, like you mentioned. Yeah, it is very
Yeah,
unlikely, but that could be one of the of the option, because say if you're thinking about Gary 30, if you might not wildcard, maybe in your situation, that Muniz could be your enabler up front, and then you get the money to bring in the light of Salah, Salah Haaland combo. That could be another thinking.
yep, yep.
All right. Last but not least, the West Ham, the Villa, the European contenders in terms of Europa League and also Conference League. This, like you mentioned, could be the match for the week, which is West Ham versus Villa, and it will
Yep.
be played on Sunday. So, what's the manager has been saying, man?
So just Maxwell Cornet, who's a backup player anyway. So he's not going to be able to play. He's a sub, a useful sub, but yeah, he's not a regular starter. For Aston Villa, it really is all about Watkins. So could be, should be, would be available. There's been no news on that. There was any quotes from Emery was based on after the Europa League match anyway, so we don't really get anything. So it's and it's unlikely we'll get anything either. They play on Sunday. This is the only match that plays on Sunday, so it's a risk. I would argue that if you already have him in your team, why would you transfer him out? Just leave him in the squad. And even if you don't, and if you free hitting, it just feels like you still would want to have him, because he is the player who would be involved in any goals. And given that we're not sure, I would still bring Watkins in even if I didn't have him.
All right, man. In terms of West Ham players, might not be so interesting. Maybe Bowen is the one that people are looking at, but can the likes of
Bowen.
Kudus, Twitter?
Okay, so the problem is Bowen is, after that hat trick he randomly scored to bring West Ham back into form, he has done nothing. Because I bought him after that hat trick, done nothing. that could be but then it's hard for people because who already have their Spurs players, who already have Aston Villa, who already have Watkins and maybe one other Villa player, and the next best option is Bowen in terms of fantasy potential. So you would still bring him in anyway, but but it does bring into another interesting question as to who that we can talk later about who to captain. So yeah, so that's something we can discuss shortly later.
All right, good stuff, man. These are the four matches they're going to play. Let's go to the transfer traffic for this game week 29. We can see there, there's no surprise that people are getting in the players who are going to play this week. The likes of Sun, after that, 17 points last week, 638,000 has brought him in. The likes of Tony, second place, we have Madison and Poro, so triple up, we can see there in terms of Spurs asset. And Bowen complete the top five transfer for game week 29. On the other side, top transfer out, we have Solanke, who are blank this week. All are blank this week. Trippier, KDB, Saka, and Haaland. And I think when considering this could be as like a volatile in terms of transfer because people are free hitting, so the transfer might not reflect the true thing. So, what do you think in terms of transfer traffic for this week?
I think it's quite realistic to assume that the transfer does more or less reflects the trends in the free hitting category. I would say so. Son, Tony, Madison, Pedro Porro, Bowen are all the key players you would expect to bring in for it. And the only reason Watkins is not up there is because of his injury. Otherwise, he'd be probably up there ahead of most of them. Yeah, but of course, the other argument is that most people already have Watkins in their team anyway, so that is something uh, that is the more likely reason. So in terms of transfers out, yeah, none of them who are playing this week, so which also gives you idea that it is the fact that people are selling Saka and Haaland shows that it's a free transfer, free hit week, definitely. So, is there anyone in that top five who I would want instead? Probably not. These are the most reliable options. Yeah, it's the most expected people that we would bring in.
All right, no surprise in terms of traffic, because the only four fixture going to play, and most people are free hitting this week anyway. Let's go take a look at game week 29 strategy, mate, in terms of how the people are reacting to this game week 29. There's a poll in Football Scout site, and you can see there the question: what is your plan for blank game week 29? So-called around 6,000 plus vote had been cast, and you can see out of that around 3,800 votes, or 61% of the voters are going to free hit for this week. So there's no surprise. A lot of people are going to free hit. They see their team, their squad, like half of them are not playing. So that's why they are doing that. Other than that, 33%, maybe someone like Cumin, just use your free transfer or take a hit for this week. 33%, and Walkan maybe not so much, but these are the two more popular pick. It's all team dependent, man. What do you think?
Yep, it's definitely team dependent, and uh, I would say a lot of people who going into free hit knew that they were going to free hit coming into this week because with a lot of players not playing, plus the fact that it's only 4 matches. So if you hadn't prepared from say game week 24 to have those players, then yeah, a free hit is what's always going to be likely for most
So,
teams.
okay, all right, good. So I can see, like you mentioned, but I mean, team dependent. But what is the likely number? I mean, before you decide whether you're gonna free or not, is it 8 player is enough for this week? What do you feel?
I think you need um, 9 without a hit and 10 with a hit. Yeah, I think um, you shouldn't take too many hits. There's no match that's overwhelmingly uh, a favorite that you should have three players. So yeah, I think 9 players is okay, or 10 with a hit.
Okay, fair. I think just touch a bit where the popular picks are. If you're thinking whether in terms of ownership, okay, Watkins around 57%. I guess you need to have him, all right? Sun now 37%. Looks like that is the one that you need to get. Other than that, maybe Bowen, if you think Bowen can perform this week, 31% at third place. Poro 22%, another popular pick. Madison 20 and Tony 17. I'm surprised he's a bit lower than the rest of that field, man. So Tony can be something that a differential if you have him, you don't have him because he could be the favorite one to score any goal against Brentford, right?
Against Burnley. I mean, so
Correct, Burnley.
it's yeah. So yeah, the problem with Tony why he's not so popular is because he's blanked in the last 2 game weeks. So that is he scored the last time he scored in game week 26 against Liverpool. Yeah, he scored against Liverpool, but yeah, then he blanked and Wisa was the one who took the stage. Yeah, so it's I can see why there's a bit of hesitancy and Tony's not, but then he's still in the top 5 transfers in this week. So
Yeah,
yeah, he's
yeah,
still there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, man. Let's go quickly on captaincy pick, man. I don't know whether this is obvious or not because the Haaland, the Salah are not going to play this week. They're involved in the FA Cup fixture. So what's next? The next best premier could be Sunmin for this week, and is also in conjunction. He scored at 17 points last week. If not, if he blanks, maybe there'll be a bit of different conversation. But it is what it is now. From the cast vote in terms of football scout poll, Sun is so-called the best captaincy pick among voters, around 60%. The second, Tony, around 13, and then third, Watkins. I think this is the top three picks if you're considering main. But with
Yeah.
Watkins, so-called doubtful, maybe people are not going there. I think it's a direct fight between Sun and Tony.
Yeah, it's really about the Watkins injury. Otherwise, I think Watkins would be the overwhelming favorite for the captaincy, but also the fact that they lost 4-0 against Spurs. So there's a lot of recency bias in the captaincy polling at the moment, and obviously Son, who comes out of game week 28 with 1 goal and 1 assist. So you see, so
17 points in total. I think two assists.
2 assists, yeah. So definitely he's the overwhelming favorite, to no surprise. All I can say is just don't underestimate Fulham too much. Yeah, Fulham at home and under a Marco Silva's team could do well. But it's hard not to imagine a team without Son. I don't have Son, but he is probably someone I'm likely to bring in after missing out on his points a few weeks already. Yeah. So
Okay.
Tony, yeah, so it's all about Tony bouncing back. So one thing to remember why people would choose Tony is simply because Burnley are 19th on the table. They're the second last team on the list. Yeah, at the moment, and that's why. Arguably, Fulham are 12th, Spurs are 5th. So you know you have to look at it that way, and I can see a few Tony captaincies there, but they've just probably hurt off by the fact that he hasn't scored in the last 2 games.
Mm. All right, fair. Even though it's they are playing Burnley, right? But it's away, so it
Yeah,
can be anything.
yeah. So all with the exception of Fofana, who's not, they're all playing away. All the rest of the four captaincy picks right now all playing away. So that's something interesting. But then I'm looking at the home teams and seeing are there any who I would want to captain. Bowen is your off-field pick. Do we think that Aston Villa are gonna continue to look horrible after losing to Spurs 4-0?
They're going to miss McGinn, right? At least I'm not sure whether that will impact your
Oh
decision.
yeah. Oh yeah, we did mention that. Yeah, so McGinn is out. But yeah, I could. Let's not forget last week Aston Villa were at home when they lost to Spurs, so now they're away against West Ham. Uh, it's interesting. This captaincy thing might make or break teams actually in terms of, if the popular pick Sun does not come true, whoever goes for the alternate could really shoot up if they do well.
All right, good stuff. From our discussion, I think we just share a bit in terms of our strategy. Most likely I'm gonna free hit for this week because I have only like six players if you count Richardson. And for you, it looks
Yep.
likely that you're gonna ending and wildcard in game with 30 or 31, depending where you want. Right, me?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I think I'm okay to not wildcard and okay with to not free hit and okay with going to game week 29 with 10 players.
All right, good stuff,
Triple
man.
hit.
So since I'm thinking about free hitting, I haven't activated, but I think around 80-90%. Most likely, I'm gonna free hit, and I'm gonna show my free hit draft. In terms of, I think it is really template because I think the key players that you need to have in here is definitely Sun number one in terms of Spurs asset. Uh, a representative from West Ham, Bowen, and in terms of ownership also quite high. Watkins need to be in that conversation. He's the talisman in terms of Aston Villa, but he's doubtful. So you need to be ready your first sub at least if he didn't make it. And I think the next player could be Brentford Tony, Mr. Tony, because he playing Burnley. And if Brentford win that game, Tony should be in the mix. So I think that's could be the four key players that you should have. Then we go to the next one. As you can see, in terms of triple up asset, we going for Madison. I'm going for Madison, and then Poro uh, at the at defense. All right, you can go Udogi Romero. I don't think you're going to be wrong in terms of that. Then double up in terms of Brentford players. I have Flecken and Regalan because he declared fit. If not, someone like Roslove or Collins could come in because I feel maybe Brentford has the highest chance in terms of keeping clean sheet this week, but it is not certain. But if there is, that could be the team. And then in terms of defense, Doty, more to attacking returns instead of thinking Luton going to get any clean sheet against Forest because they are fighting for their life, right? And then moving up front, Watkins Tony, right? And then Morris, but it can be anyone. I'm still thinking Fofana, Muniz, Buisa. We discussed about that. That could be a slot that I haven't. I'm still thinking. I put that Morris because Luton playing at home and Morris on penalty duty, right? So that could be a player that if Luton perform, Morris could be the one. But I have a representative for Forest because I feel Forest could win that game. So Gibbs White, the captain from Forest side, he could be on penalty, but it could easily be Elanga or Hudson or Doy. So I'm still thinking about that. And let's say Watkins miss, Bailey could come in as a representative from Aston Villa, but that spot could be Douglas Lewis. But I'm afraid maybe with John McGinn's suspension, could Douglas Lewis playing more behind now and be the front in terms of that defense, right? That what I feel.
Yeah, the McGinn problem is hurts because then it is David Lewis because previously it was McGinn was still further up and Kamara was the one who was doing all the rounds. I mean, an alternate would be if they are increasingly likely, unless Ramsey goes back and plays a more holding role. So I'm looking at the Aston Villa Europa lineup, and Moreno played the full 90 in that one, so it's
Oh,
quite dodgy there. I'm not sure about your Pedro Porro pick. Although I do think Fulham will score, and Pedro Porro with up ever since Madison is back, he doesn't score as much because he doesn't take much of the free kicks anymore. Yeah, so then it becomes, other than that, I guess Regulon, we know that he's fit. He should be fit, so that's fine. Watkins there, so you still have Watkins. You're still putting in Watkins because the risk of going without
Yeah.
him is too high. So yeah, I think your team is set up. Uh, just the between Morris and Gibbs White are the slightly off-field options, but Morris is a penalty taker, so yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. You all set?
All right. I'm still considering these two spot at least. The rest could probably, I think people are going there if you're free hitting. That's the template. But I'm still open up in terms of who's the my third striker will be, and I think Muniz could be in the mix. We shall see how I'm thinking for the next few hours before the deadline. Okay, Min, let's go to your, which is you're thinking about just doing a transfer or take a hit for this week. You have got plenty of money in the bank, 15.6 million, and one free transfer. What's your plan, Min?
So it's really, I mean, I'm confident about everyone on my team starting except for Moreno. So Moreno we'll have to see. Moreno didn't start last week, and but then Villa were trashed. Moreno did start in midweek, which and played full 90, which worries me. But then Villa won. so yeah. So you would think that. So the question is the decision based on fatigue, or is the decision based on keep the winning squad? Yeah. So which is why um I feel that Moreno will play some part, so I'm confident of keeping him there. So my two transfers, given the fact that I my plan is to wildcard in game week 30, so that means that I will be selling Gross and probably Neto. Depends on who I bring in. So obvious, I it's hard for me not to go out with the number one pick of the week, which is Sun. So I will be bringing Sun. So that's a confirmed pick. So the other question is where to go for my second pick. So either I, run the risk of with David Lewis, for example, or go for Muniz, a slightly off-field pick. Yeah. Or Madison. So Madison Sun is almost pretty much confirmed. So do I go the safety play of Madison, who most free hit teams will have, or do I go for the offbeat pick of Muniz or David Lewis? So it's
I
between
think
that
I
really.
think I know the answer. I think I know the answer. I mean, knowing your style, I think Muniz is the one.
Yeah, you already know me. So yeah, Muniz. I took a look, and yeah, he scored 5 goals in the last six or something like that. So he's definitely a pick to consider.
Yep, 5 goals in 6 games. So, yep, he's on form. And
Yeah,
he
five
looks.
goals in six. Yeah, yeah,
Will he
yeah.
be on penalty? That one I'm not too sure. I mean,
It should be. Um, Willian
I
is
don't know
Willian.
whether
I
whether Willian or Pereira could do that. And
yeah.
those
It
players have been taking those duty before this.
yeah. Yeah. So see you with Muniz. Well done. Yeah, you already know my style, so yeah, there you go.
Right. Okay, let's take some question. Thanks, Rakan PL. He's in the stream and post us a lot of question. We shall try to address as much as possible. Main, Watkins injury, keep or sell? You know, I think it's a keep. I'm not sure whether you want to go risk of not having it.
Keep.
All right. I'm currently on 8 years. Most likely, like also in your boat, Min, with Emerson. Yeah, I think that's interesting. How many hits reality should I do, Min? Maybe one hit, but two hit is not that right, man? Because we're talking about -8, but actually it's a -4 because you're bringing players who play this week.
Mm. I'm not sure what your squad is, but I think you can go to 10 and hope. Is Emerson totally out? I can't remember. Was he? Uh, yeah.
But
Otherwise you just take a hit and go with 10 and and work with that. I think you can go with one hit and go for 10.
all right, good stuff. Poro or Udogi, the safer one or the more popular one? Poro, I suppose, but you want to differentiate? I think Udogi or Udogi, or you can
Yeah.
go Romero. I think people won't go there.
Yeah, Udogi is capable of scoring. We've seen it, and so a bit more than Poro actually. So, it's just Poro has more miss, and I think Poro has more assists. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'll
you see,
before we
give
end the
more
stream,
bonus.
I'll check that.
All right. We already touched about Tony captain. I don't think he's a bad choice for sure, but people are likely going for Sun.
Tony for the difference, go for Tony. But because he hasn't scored in the past two matches, it does hurt him a bit.
Doty essential. Maybe a few weeks back I would say yes, but I don't think so, man.
Mm, he's definitely attacking, but Luton have not performed as much as we would like to, and they are bottom, so I don't think it's essential at all. Yeah.
All right. Muniz in to get Salah into T. Yes, we discussed about
Yes.
that, man.
Yep, that's what you mentioned, and yeah, definitely, I think it's a good enabler. Um, I just get back to the Pedro Porro Udogi question. So Pedro Porro has 8 assists and no
Oh,
goals. Udogi has 2 goals and 3 assists. So that a
see
bit of
where your risk appetite, right?
see what your risk appetite is. But bear in mind, some of Pedro Porro's assist was because he was taking free kicks.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Regulan or Collins? I would recommend Regulan because I actually watched some matches into Brentford coming to this week, and I see Regulan is really attacking, and he's also
Attack.
taking some.
Yeah, correct. Attacking wise, he's just as if you're confident that he's going to start, then go for regular.
All right, keep faith in Arola or go for Flecken. If you're not free hitting, I think Arola is fine.
Yeah. Um, I can't see any clean sheets this week, so I would go for Ariola for higher save potential.
All right, hits or wildcard this game week if I need to take a
Okay.
-8. I think -8 is
Next
fine, right?
one.
You did mention. I think wildcard after international break.
I'm not. I'm. I don't like a -8 really. I'll take a -4, but not a -8. It's just that the matches in question there aren't too many that look like a lot of double-digit points, so -4 for me.
Neto
But
to
wild,
Flecken.
but not a, but sorry, but not a wild card either. Don't wild card this week. I just feel it's not worth it.
Yes.
Because you of course you stack your Salahs and Haalands on the bench, but then you are left with quite a few players that you may not want for the following week.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Wildcard 30 is the best option. Neto to Flecken, I don't think it's worth it because like as we mentioned, I don't think any team gonna keep clean sheet.
I think I don't think either is securing clean sheet, so it's a case on saves. So and I don't think the differential is that much to even want to do a transfer.
Kudus or Paqueta, interesting man. If you're considering to bring in on top of Bowen, or maybe you do not want Bowen entering. I think Paqueta is on penalty. I think I like that.
I like Kudus more because I feel he's just a lot more attacking and he's more thirsty for goals more than Paqueta. So I will be going for Kudus.
All right. Last but not least, Visa versus Morris. Morris at home on penalty.
Uh this is a tough one. Oh, this is a tough one. Wissa, I go for Wissa. Yeah.
All right. All right. I don't think there is anything wrong. That's all I can say.
I think that Forest defense has been strong. They've been unlucky in the past two matches. They only lost one. Brighton and Liverpool. So I feel that the defense is improving under Nuno Santo. So yeah, I go for Wisa.
All right, man. Before we wrap up, just take a look in terms of our FPL Jedi League. If you haven't joined our league, you can key in the league code ZA9F60. It is without a doubt 1, 2, 3 go or Maman, right? He sometimes he actually join our stream. He is on the first place at the top spot with 1,826 points. He is a Manchester United fan. He scored 57 points only last week, but it's still good enough. You
To
can
stay.
see his team main. His team main.
He's so far
He
ahead.
got he got Neto and Zamani in defense in
Oh,
terms of double
yeah.
up of Bournemouth and said. He got a Gabriel Saliba combo who did not any keep a clean sheet, but it's still fine. Template Saka, Foden, Son, and Neto. No Palmer, I mean. I think that is the one that hurting him this week.
Mm. I gotta give credit to the number two person on this list. He's has climbed up slowly and surely and more consistent and well done, Hafiz. I think that's a testament to your consistency and ability to think logically. So yeah, well done. And um, but when you look at the top team, that's definitely a free hit. Free hit is on the way for him in Game Week 29. How many? He's got like four players: Son,
Mhm.
Watkins, Taylor, and oh, three. Oh,
Ar-
Areola, four,
Ar-
and Neto, five. So that's essentially four lah. So yeah, so that's a free hit team right there.
Yep, yep. I think I just want to give shout out Yasmin. Yasmin, struggling because I've been like away from this top 10 list for sure. If you can see at number 10, at one point, Kamaransi is at top, and I don't think that I can catch him up. So you can see where he is now. The league is so fast paced, and if you are not keeping up, yeah, you can go down, right? So yeah, I think that's where we have to be consistent. I have to tabik for Maman. He has been consistent. He got that right pick. He's up there because his performance for sure, and he's like 50 or 60 points away from me. But yeah, there's still 10 weeks to go. Let's see. And shout out to the rest of the top 10. I mean, Harish at third place. Ola Nana Kian Tran at fourth place. TMF
Um, for-
69 KIK. Yep. Amforce Hilmi, yes, among the top players also. Ashraf, Afan United at seventh place. FPL Futi Mira can be up to this top 10, but slightly down this week because he scored only 58 points. Nick Jacks, Justin 99, and Kamaran Sid, 75 points. At
he wild carded this week, by the way.
oh, man. Okay. And I can imagine filling up with Bournemouth and Luton Town players. All right.
All right. Okay.
uh, let's go. Yep. Before we wrap up, the game week 29 deadline will be at tonight at 9:30 p.m. Malaysian time, man, because the first match will be on the 11 p.m. And who, whoever joined, thank you, Journey, and do support us by hitting the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel, man. And
Okay. So just want
just
to update.
yeah, just want to share. I changed our logo. May the force be with you. That's the new one, man. Quite nice, right?
It's a love. It's a lovely one. Well done. Um. Yeah, yeah. I love it. I really, really love it. Just also selamat berbuka puasa to the Muslims out there. For most of you in our time zone, that's plenty of time for you to buka puasa. Take a look at your team. But of course, for those of you who are going for Tarawih, I suggest you do your research before. Please don't be browsing in the in the masjid looking at your team in between rakaat. So yeah, yeah, because at 9:30 maybe your Tarawih isn't finished yet. Yeah, unless it's one of those super fast ones, eight rakaat super fast ones. So yeah, but all the best and good luck this week. And remember, as I mentioned at the start, this is the kickoff of the last 10 game weeks. So make it count. Make it count.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Good luck. in whichever road in whichever path you're going to take, free hitting, taking a hit. But this will be the last week, and we want to be on top in terms of our green arrow. So good luck, and see you again after the international break. Bye bye.
Bye.